Here we go. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. And today is Tuesday, the 9th of September, 2025. And we are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming on WYAB.com. You can lock into us on any of those places. You can always tune into the Andrew Gosser Show there if you can't pick up our wonderful radio signal blasting out of Flora, Mississippi. Our mission today is standard. We're here to equip the saints. And who are the saints? Well, you are all the saints. Look, if you want to be part of the telephone or part of the show today, the telephone number is 601-879-0002. The text line is booming. I can't keep up with them all, be truthful with you. It's actually a real big blessing. The number there is 601-879-5060. I do get to those, and I always try to make sure that if it's a story I can put into the show, I definitely bring it in. I really appreciate all the feedback. And today, if you rebuke a scoffer, someone who's a mocker, he or she will hate you. But if you rebuke a wise person, they will be thankful for you and they'll love you for it. And that's just the truth. You know, you try to talk sense into somebody and you know it's just not going anywhere. And it's like, why do I even do this? And then you pull somebody aside, maybe at work, who you know is a good guy, good girl, having some issues, and you drop a little wisdom on them, a little bit of rebuke, and they're thankful for it. And then they come out and be a superstar. Which one are you? Are you one that hangs on to your pride? Oh, I can't be wrong. Someone tries to correct you and you get all up in their feelings and all up in their grill? Or do you sit back and say, hey, maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way? We've got all sorts of stuff to talk about today. And I guess the place I truly want to start is Trump going to this tennis match, and the mainstream media is basically saying he's booed. And no one is believing this anymore. And this is going to fill in to everything today. Because the mainstream media, every time I think they can't get any worse, they possibly can't do anything worse, they do. And it starts off with this guy named Harry Sisson. If you've never heard of him, he is a left-winger who said Kamala Harris was going to win with about 347 electoral college votes, which is just, it's not even in the realm of possibility. You know, he's just out there. But I want you to listen to this. And genuinely, I want to know, does this sound like the president's getting booed or cheered? Here we go.
Donald Trump just got loudly booed by the entire stadium at the US Open as soon as he was shown on the Jumbotron. Just take a look. And here's another angle from higher up in the stadium. Yeah, both of those are pretty embarrassing for Donald Trump. And interestingly, these are like the only clips you'll see of Trump getting booed because the U.S. Tennis Association asked all the broadcasters to censor any negative reaction to Donald Trump.
And this guy is all over everywhere saying there's boos. That doesn't sound like boos to me. I've watched Arsenal Football Club. I know what boos sound like. That sounds like a hearty clap. Is it riotous like Mississippi State taking the field? No. Is it like Trump taking the field at a college football game in Alabama? No. But it's definitely not boos. And yet you have left-wing media pundits completely casting a narrative that people with two ears and two eyes or even no eyes. Maybe you can't see, but you can hear, and it's not what they're saying. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm so optimistic and positive over the direction of this country and this state. I continue to be, because we are not falling for the same tricks and deeds that they would have gotten away in the 70s. I know I'm dating myself. In the 80s, I know I'm dating myself. In the 90s, I know I'm dating myself. In the 2000s, in the 2010s, and even the early 2020s. They're absolutely falling all over themselves. They can't get it. And oh, by the way, they said there wasn't any other clips.
The night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled
I do not hear the boo. I know I've booed. My daughter and the sweepy have personally heard a sound and roaring boo. This is not it. And that last clip I just played you was the official TV CBS Open of the CBS coverage of the U.S. Open, which this other loser said wasn't available. Isn't that the beautiful thing about X? I'm not saying X is great and it's perfect, because there's a lot of disinformation. And like all social media, you are exactly 2 taps and 1 click away from going down a road you do not want to go. You know what I'm talking about. But X has got the free flow of communication, and it needs to be open at all costs. You know, India's trying to get rid of it right now, and the people are going nuts over there because they're trying to get rid of X. It's not perfect, but if you're not on X, I encourage you to do so. And if you are on X and you would, please give me a follow. It's just at Andrew Gasser, at AndrewGasser. I appreciate everybody who's listening to me over there. I appreciate everybody who's listening to me on Rumble and YouTube and at WYAB. If you'd spread the word on that, that'd be awesome. So I guess the next place we absolutely have to go to is Brian Flippin Stelter and what's going on here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Because we talked about it yesterday. None of the mainstream media was talking about this last week. This actually happened on August 22nd. And to be truthful, I did not even hear about it till my sweet bee told me about it, I think Friday night. And I like to think I'm plugged into stuff. I didn't hear anything about it. And CNN is just beside themselves. Absolutely beside themselves. And this clip is 1 minute and 33 seconds, and it's going to drive the rest of the hour. But we've got to get through this, because you have to understand the mainstream media and the ideological left, the deep state, they need you to believe this. What this man is about to say, they need you to believe this, because if you don't, then their whole power scheme begins to crumble, and it already is. We can talk about different aspects of this, but their main way to control the narrative and in effect control you is for you to believe hot garbage like this.
This actually happened last month. It only gained national news attention here in the past couple of days. Why is that?
Right. Most murders in the U.S. never become national news. This one's garnered attention for a couple of reasons. Number one, first and foremost, the recent release of that gruesome video. Second, the energy from pro-Trump activists. They picked up on this video from local news and ran with it. It's a little bit like the times when civil rights groups have raised attention about police-involved shootings. In this case, it is Trump-aligned influencers who are posting up a storm about this case on social media.
Why are we posting up a storm about it? Is it just MAGA influencers? Is it just Donald Trump people? I don't know about you, but if I see a man sitting behind a woman, and he just starts stabbing the heck out of her on closed caption TV, security footage. That's a big deal.
Media. Really, over the weekend, Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, other Trump-aligned figures succeeded in making this senseless death a symbol of big city crime. We heard President Trump asked about it yesterday when he was heading home from New York City. He didn't seem to know much about it. He said he would get briefed, and then today, Trump did know all about it. That's exactly what has happened here. This story has trickled up from local news to social media and now to the president's attention. And it's being used, as you said, Brianna, as a political symbol, with MAGA media calling for more forceful punishments and more incarceration. I have to say, some of the replies to Musk, some of the comments around this story are baldly racist, stoking fear of African Americans because this man attacked a white woman. The open racism on sites like X today, it's eye-popping. But there are also legitimate questions about this so-called career criminal, someone who had been a repeat offender. And those questions, I hope they're not lost amid all of the cesspool kind of comments on social media.
And he needs you to believe that. Some people, when I was talking about this today, Andy, you got to interrupt that and correct it as it goes. I'm like, nope. One little comment in the beginning and let Brian say what he needs to say. You know, this is a man who's been fired from CNN once. Why the heck they brought him back, I don't know, but he needs to be fired again. It's a big deal. When you get on public transport, you expect to be safe. And the fact that this young lady's from Ukraine, you know, the left is caught between a rock and a hard place. Black man, Ukraine refugee. What did that lady do to get stabbed in the neck? What did she do? What was she doing wrong in that picture? And by the way, you can go out there and you can actually see that video. It's disgusting. It'll make your blood boil. That lady sits in that seat for over 4 minutes before that man decides to do something. That man has been arrested 14 times. You can go pull up, someone has put a compilation together of all of his different mugshots from all the different times he's been arrested for all sorts of different things. He's been kicked out of his parents' house, his family's house, because he was threatening them. The left has created this enormous problem. And whether we like it or not, it is rapidly coming to a point where we're going to have to correct it in ways that some people are going to say good and some people are going to say bad. It's absolutely brutal. And when we get back, there are some questions that have been raised. Where were the Good Samaritans? That's one. But the real question is, what if that would have been a white man with a black woman? A white man stabbing a black woman in the back of the neck on a public transport. What would the mainstream media be doing then? You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah, it is the Andrew Gosser Show right here at 103.9 WYAB. If you want to be part of the program, the number is 601-879-0002. The text line is open at 601-879-5060. Brother Rick sent in a text reminding me that our society is so sick that there was actually a GoFundMe set up for the felon accused of killing the commuter in random Charlotte train attack. Yep, they opened up a GoFundMe for him. And now the GoFundMe has shut that account down. But how much money did it raise? Was that money ever actually delivered? I doubt it was. GoFundMe's gotten pretty good about once they shut down an account, just refunding the money back to the people who donated it. GoFundMe said it removed multiple fundraising campaigns created on behalf of DeCarlos Brown Jr., the ex-convict accused of stabbing and killing Ukrainian refugee Irana Zaruska. Gosh, I apologize. Names will never be good. GoFundMe's terms of service explicitly prohibit fundraisers for the legal defense of anyone formally charged with a violent crime. Consistent with this long-standing policy, all fundraisers for DeCarlos Brown Jr.'s legal defense have been removed from the platform, and any donors have been fully refunded, told Fox News. So that's good. This is actually heartbreaking. The young lady, 23, fled Ukraine with her family in 2022 to escape Russia's war before settling in Charlotte, according to her obituary. She was working at a local pizzeria, Zappetti's Pizza, at the time of her death. And it just goes on, the story. And look, I love my wife, but like when these pictures, she's stunning. What a beautiful young lady. Whole life ahead of her. Gone. Because this guy has been just completely out of his mind, truly mental illness, out of his mind. And the GoFundMe is just a symptom of our sick society. But here's the other symptom of our sick society, and it's a 2-for-1. Number one, people asked, where's the Good Samaritan? Well, if you talk to any law enforcement officer or any military soldier who's been trained with knives and how to combat somebody with a knife, you know that you have to be decisive and you are going to be behind the 8 ball if they're within 10 feet of you. They can get to you faster than you can draw your gun unless you are so incredibly proficient. I'm not sure if they allow weapons on the Charlotte mass transit system. I would venture to say no without having doing the research myself. But that's the first part of it. So is there anybody trained there? Is there another Good Samaritan? Does anybody remember the name Daniel Penny in New York, who basically stopped a stabbing? And Letitia James in New York tried to put that man in jail. It's truly the grace of God that Daniel Penny did not end up in jail. I genuinely think if he would have been found guilty, President Trump would have pardoned him almost instantly. I mean, after he was found not guilty, he was at the football game, I think the next day or that night. But anybody who was thinking about doing something like that to try to stop something like that, you would have that whole instance of Daniel Penny in your mind. And why is it? Because Daniel Penny was a white man, a Marine, who used his combat training to stop a man with a knife who just happened not to be white. You know? And the truth is that the media spun it up. Think about it. What did the mainstream media do with that story? It was all over the place. You could not see it. Brian Stelter and CNN were talking about it. MSNBC/MS Now/BS Always was talking about it. ABC, CBS, NBC were all talking about it. No good deed goes unpunished, and the picture of Brian Penny is at the very top of that. Is it a shame that the guy that Brian Penny stopped died? Yeah. Was it Brian Penny's fault? No. Is that woman that he saved thankful and grateful? Just ask her. She's here to talk about it. This poor young lady from the Ukraine is not. And we're just coming to a point in society where we've been called racists and Nazis for so long anymore that no longer works. There is a problem with that. So you've got nobody. And here's the other thing that I just read. There was security on that train. There were people who. Where were they? It's got pictures of the perpetrator walking down the alleyway there inside the train with a dripping bloody knife, and no one's doing anything. Everybody's just like, "Hey, I don't want to be part of this." Our society is so plugged in and hooked up to the internet and to their cell phones. It's just like George Orwell said, they will be too busy looking at their screens to worry about what's going on right around them. Is that not true in America? Is that not true in the world? Israel just bombed an American ally, Qatar, going after Hamas. The communists in Nepal just ripped down the communist flag. Have you heard about that? Nepal's finance minister is literally stripped of all of his clothes, except for a motorcycle helmet, and then marched down into the river by angry protesters during anti-corruption protests. We continue to be manipulated with Gaza and the starvation. We get fired up and angry over that. We could potentially be in a type of war that maybe none of us really thought we would ever be in, but it is a world war. There's conflict all over the globe right now, and we are completely distracted with other things, including Mississippi State University being fined $500,000 for storming the field after that incredible victory. And I'll be truthful with you, I did not watch the game. I really don't watch college football or the NFL anymore. I don't like the referees and the rules and all the garbage that they try to push down my throat, whether it be on the field or during the commercials. So I don't watch that. It's another reason that soccer's so great, because there are no commercials. You might get a little bit of colorful commentary or some of the advertising around the stadium, but it's so much better. You don't have to deal with the commercials. But the other big question is, and I've seen this come from so many liberals, leftists, Morning Joe, CNN. I would use your name, but you're so unpopular, I don't even know your name. Asking, where were the Good Samaritans? I would just put this up to the jury of this listening audience. Where does the term Good Samaritan come from, fam? That's right. We don't believe in God. We pushing God out of our society. And when you push God out of your society, you get demons and devils like what happened in Charlotte. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Yeah, we are back on the Andrew Gosser Show. Comments continue to come in. I really like this one. Every time a quote unquote good Samaritan helps out in a blue city, they end up going to jail longer than the person doing the crime. And second, most people have been desensitized so much to violence that they no longer care or want to get involved in the next viral video. That sadly is true. And then a texter in the Rumble chat said the guy Penny stopped also had a long mile rap sheet and a history of abusing others. No reason he should have been out on the streets, just like the murder in Charlotte. And brother, I agree with you. The same thing happened with this cashless bail. I read your question wrong originally, but this cashless bail system where they're just letting criminals go out. I remember when it was implemented in Illinois, and we were talking about how bad it was then. Our sheriff was against it. Most sheriffs in Illinois are against it. But when you have gerrymandered maps like Illinois, you're just going to see a leftist invasion start to flow down and infiltrate the judicial system, the election system, the education system. It continues to go. So you've got the mainstream media completely upset that America is waking up to what happened in Charlotte, and we're all pretty ticked off about it. But as you know, I always like to come to you with the facts. And that's where we go to ad week. And actually, I'm going to post this on X so you all can follow along with me because you need to have the numbers. Again, you need to have the facts. People aren't listening to MSNBC, MS Now, BS Always, CNN. They're just not. And here from Ad Week, this is from September 4th. This is the latest ratings that I could find. So we always talk about the demographic, which is really important. That's where the advertisers like to spend their money and where the overall population is, the total viewing audience. So in the demographic, during the day, Fox News had roughly 200,000 people watching, 194. It's actually 1,100. So I believe that's closer to 200,000, but we'll call it 194. 194,000 people watching Fox News during the day. CNN, just 46,000 people in the demographic watching CNN. Do you realize how horrible that is? That's absolutely terrible. And then you have MSNBC / MS Now / BS Always. 46,000 people. People simply are not believing what is coming out of the leftist media anymore. And again, these numbers are coming from Adweek. You can go to my X account at Andrew Gosser, and you can look up these numbers yourself. I want you to trust me, but I always want you to verify me. Our mission at the Andrew Gosser Show is to equip the saints, and here you go. We're giving you the ammunition. And that's during the daytime. During the prime time at night, MSNBC / MS Now / BS Always, 51,000 people. Brian Stelter and CNN, 40,000 people. Fox News Channel, 262,000 people. And you might be thinking, Andy, that's really low. Remember, that's the demographic. If we go to the number and get the total viewers, which many of you will probably identify with this number a little bit easier, because there are 340 million Americans, and I think 180 million of us have cable of some type. Fox News during the day gets 1.54 million people watching it. CNN gets 337,000 people, and MSNBC / MS Now / BS Always, 556,000 people watching it. Prime time, when people come home from work and want to get the news, where are they tuning in? MSNBC / MS Now / BS Always, 664,000 people. That's pretty big. CNN and Brian Stelter, 397,000 people. Fox News, 2.04 million people. Fox News is absolutely destroying everybody. In fact, if you add up CNN and BS Always, they're half of what Fox is. And that's just the cable news. How many of us turn to other sources of news because we simply just don't trust what's on the TV anymore? We have third-party sources. You have WYAB. We do a great job of covering local and national stuff, I feel. We've got great hosts. Talking to Clay this morning, great chat. Talking to Chip this morning, great chat. I haven't talked to the Radio Strongman in a while. I need to. But between all of us, you've got Jackson, Mississippi, and national politics covered pretty good. And it just goes to show you that no matter how much they try to bombard you on television, no matter how much they try to bombard you on social media, it's simply not working anymore. And it's great that we're seeing that with the mainstream media, but you know who else is paying attention to this? The politicians. And there are the politicians on both sides of the aisle. Because while social media is a great tool to actually put out meaningful data and real information, it can also be used to manipulate the public, just like the mainstream media and the television and the radio was back in the day. You know, I was thinking about this, and I'd like your opinion on it, actually. What was the really first widespread panic and manipulation on radio? Does anybody remember? I believe it was George Orwell's War of the Worlds. You had people firing weapons at water towers in New Jersey. It caused a national panic because people thought it was real. And then on the television, what was the real manipulation? 9/11. And we will have a special 9/11 show. I plan to dig up my journal that I have from 9/11 and 9/12 of everything that I was doing. I don't know why I journaled it. I just did. And then with the internet era, it was COVID. Where you can call it the deep state, you can call it one world government, you can call it the Illuminati. I truly don't care. There's some entity out there, something bigger than just the government, that has used technology to manipulate how we think. And the more and more we become technology dependent, there's that darn Parkinson's again, is the more we become dependent on that technology, the more susceptible we are to that type of manipulation. Think about what they did to Facebook and Twitter and other social media, Instagram. They completely silenced conservatives. How many of us were banned? And the information that was being pumped out, just incredible. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he is not a Democrat, but he's definitely leaning left. And he even brought it up to me that since USAID has been defunded, how the Democrats are completely imploding. And if he's making that correlation, then I'm telling you, many people in this listening audience are making the same one. And what that bodes for the future, I do not know. I always believe that there are moves out there being 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of what we're seeing today. Some of us may be able to see those steps, others may not. It's definitely got something to do with our anxiety devices, our cell phones. I know yesterday when half of Terry didn't have power, our cell phones, as long as they were charged up, we had some type of entertainment. We could rest, we could relax. And I do want to give a big shout out to Entergy. Um, they had to close I-55 at least once. I think it was twice to get those cables across. And again, with the Hinds County Sheriff, y'all were working. The Terry Police Department, the Byram Police Department. I'll tell you what, I had to drive up there 2 times, going through all there and watching those guys work. And if you saw the picture on What's Up Byram, it looked like it was a spider. They must have had 5 or 6 bucket trucks around this pole where these linemen were just moving and grooving. And I think we were out of power for about 17 or 18 hours, somewhere between there. And those men and women were working hard. And I'm just very grateful and thankful that we got power back. It was even better that it was a cooler day and life is somewhat back to normal. Hopefully their freezers didn't thaw too much. They didn't keep their refrigerators opening and closing and losing all that cool air. And I hope that person is okay. Whoever hit that pole at 3:30 in the morning, all I can think about is, man, they must have hit that pole hard. And it was interesting. There was a great picture that showed the spider web. But getting back to my point, the only way that we were even getting involved or getting information was because of our anxiety devices. Texts coming through from Entergy, being able to go onto Facebook and look in different community groups. Hey, what's going on? And people posting what they know. What's the next catch? Will they just all of a sudden pull that away? I've got a story coming up where kids are complaining that they don't have a long attention span anymore. Why is that? I bet you I know. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah, we are back for the final segment of the Andrew Gosser Show. First hour's already flown by, and I'm telling you what, it's the show is so amazing because we always get to see things as it happens live. And I've just posted 2 more stories. One was from AOL News, and I like going to different places to pull the news. But basically, what it just says is that the editors at Wikipedia descended into circular firing squad over the North Carolina stabbing article. They actually tried to put a deletion notice in. And if you noticed, I told you yesterday, I archived it. And I'm so glad I archived it because if you go there now, today, ladies and gentlemen, that deletion notice is gone. And within a week, people will never know that Wikipedia tried to delete that article. And it just goes back to how the left and the mainstream media had the total control on how to control what we consume and what we read. And we just have to continue to put together examples of this. And it's not that I'm beating anybody over the head with it, but it's always nice to have fresh ammunition for our liberal friends. It's incredible. And we're just getting started because in the next hour, right as we were going off the air yesterday, all sorts of Supreme Court judges were coming out with rulings for the good guys. And if you watched anything on reporting from the mainstream media or on Twitter, on X, you would see 2 very different stories. And it was awesome because I did get a text from an unknown texter last night at about 8:00, just reiterating how they're starting to see how the court system is weaponizing against Donald Trump. And I don't know if it's a he or a she, but they pointed out how it always seems to go against Trump in the beginning, and as it moves up, it ends up going his way. And I'm like, man, the radio show's working. Yes, you're right. Thank you for texting that. Always appreciate the texters. Appreciate the call-ins too. So in the next hour, this is what we got. We've got the Supreme Court. We've got to talk about education mysteriously collapsing in the last year. Why? What is it that is causing the education system to collapse just here in the last hour or in the last year? Excuse me. Do you know? I think I've got an idea. What else do we have? Oh, we've got a Chicago murder update. You know, the numbers from this past weekend actually went up. I don't necessarily get that. We still haven't talked about the Philly Karen, and that story just continues to go and go. I know other people have talked about it, but me not so much. And I want to make a direct plea to Mayor Horn in the next hour. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We'll see you in about 8 minutes. Fire them up. Yep, you are tuned in to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Today is Tuesday, the 9th of September, 2025. And if you want to be part of the program, it's really simple. You can call in at 601-879-0002, or you can go ahead and give me a text at 601-879-5060. Also, the chat is open in Rumble and YouTube. You can go ahead and type in a message there. I'll get it, and I'll try to respond to it as quickly as I can. We are streaming on Rumble. Yep. We are streaming on X. Yep. We are streaming on YouTube. Yep. And we are streaming at WYAB.com. You can always find us there if you can't pick up our radio signal, and we appreciate everybody who's tuning in. Our mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We're here to equip the saints. Do not rebuke a scoffer, or he will hate you. But if you rebuke a wise person, he will love you. And that's the truth about it all. You know, if you get corrected and you realize the error, and you have somebody who's strong enough to actually come up and say, hey, you're doing this wrong, and this is how you can fix it, you appreciate that. But we've all been in those situations where we've gone up and said, hey, you're doing this wrong, and they get offended that you pointing something out that they're doing wrong. It's a cultural problem, and we continue to handle that. Well, in the second hour, I really wanted to talk about the kings and queens who wear the black robes. It was really interesting because as we were going off the air yesterday, all these victories were coming in, and I was really happy about it. Some of my friends, political friends in DC and around the United States, were texting like this is really happening, and we need to really break these down, because if we don't have the exact understanding of what's going on here, we're going to be able to be influenced by people who shouldn't have any influence in our life whatsoever. And I guess the first place to start is Supreme Court Justice rules Trump can fire Democratic FTC commissioner. And this is all over the place. Chief Justice John Roberts temporarily allowed President Donald Trump to remove Rebecca Slaughter from the Federal Trade Commission while her legal challenge continues. So if you remember, the lower court said, nope, she has to stay on the job. She has to stay where she's at. And that's not correct, because she is under the executive branch. She falls under the purview of the President of the United States. And if he is firing her for cause, which he has a cause, he should be able to let her go. And a judge in a black robe, a king or queen, not sure which one it was, said, nope, you got to keep her on. And it was reversed. It was a win for President Trump and his thoughts on how the U.S. Constitution and the laws of the United States should be interpreted. And for most sane people, it was the right way to go. And this is where I want to caution conservatives, because there will be a Democrat president within the next period of time. I'd like to think that 2028 and 2032, we're going to be looking pretty good. But there's going to be a point where we do get a Democrat. And all the tools that President Trump is unlocking that presidents in the past have never had to use, because Congress and the courts would never even think about getting out of line. It's a Pandora's box. And just realize that it's not that it could be used against us. It most likely will be used against us. And you just got to be ready for it. The outrage here is just incredible. U.S. Supreme Court allows Trump to remove FTC member for now. Supreme Court allows Trump to fire FTC member for now. U.S. Supreme Court allows Trump to oust FTC commissioner for now. Do you see the trend here? It's all these different mainstream media companies all using the same language. It's truly quite disgusting. And the great thing is that as more and more of this happens, it's going to be more difficult and more difficult for these lower court judges to do what they're doing, because at some point they will be held in contempt of the Supreme Court. And at that point, they can be booted off the federal bench. And the liberals don't want that, because at that point, the chief executive officer of the United States of America gets to replace that person. And it's just how our system works. So that's really exciting. The next one. Supreme Court lifts restrictions on Los Angeles immigration. And this is the really big one, because what this bill was trying to do is say that you couldn't use facts in the moment to go ahead and use them for probable cause or reasonable suspicion. The U.S. Supreme Court approved immigration agents to stop and detain individuals in Los Angeles. And this is so biased. This is bad, but this is how they wrote it. Based on race, language, or type of work, which critics call blatant racial profiling. All three of the court's liberal justices dissented, and Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who I don't agree with, but the lady can write in, if you don't think she's intelligent, you're only fooling yourself. I'm not saying that I agree with her, but I do admire her ability to write, unlike Ketanji Jackson Brown, who is just a disgrace to the U.S. Supreme Court. And this is what's coming in from all around the world. White House says migrant arrests follow many factors, not necessarily racial profiling. And the border czar was on TV. He was going through it. If you've got a MS-13 tattoo on your face, that is a factor. If you run from police, that is a factor. If you don't speak English, that is a factor. We are in America. I know they're trying to get English removed as our main language, and this is how they do it. But these are the things that the liberals and the left are trying to do, and you need to fight that. Here's the one that I really liked, and this is coming out of Denmark. Donald Trump, decision overturned. U.S. president celebrates victory in court. The rule of law stood, and this lower court leftist who just went completely off the chain. It's like they want tyranny in our big cities. They want our big cities to be full of crime and just a mess. They don't want law and order. Yet they sit there behind the bench in their black robes making these decisions. It's absolutely brutal. Because if we do not get back to law and order, as soon as the big cities collapse, guess where it goes to next? The suburbs. And it'll be there too. We have to see why this is happening. And if you noticed, this is unknown texter. I don't know who you are. But they point out, ever since these rulings started coming down, you're seeing less and less Mexican flags at these protests. You're seeing more and more Palestinian flags and American flags. Why is that? Don't you find that curious? It's almost like the culture war is literally being fought on the streets. They have apps out there. We've seen them reported on where they tell you where the ICE agents are, where they're massing up. And people think that's okay. People think it's okay to assault police officers, assault ICE officers. We have already seen that some courts in some jurisdictions have fallen so far that assaulting a police officer is not a felony. And everybody's saying, Andrew, it was a Subway sandwich. It looked most likely it was a BMT with extra mayo and mayonnaise and vegetables. But what if that was a rock? Would that be a felony then? What if it, look at what happened to the J6ers who were just standing there, who got these enormous felonies. Wrongly, by the way, in D.C. And then the cops, now you can go up there and tell them. And by the way, that was an attorney who did that at the Justice Department. And his buddies who could have saved him from that embarrassment didn't even bother. No, let him go. Go back and watch the video. I'd play it for you online, but I just don't feel like bleeping out all the cuss words. It's just I don't find it really valuable to do. I did it a couple times, but I just don't think I'm going to do that too much anymore. So this is a prime example of where law and order works and where law and order is struggling. Everybody's upset with the National Guard and all these extra federal marshals and agents moving into DC, but DC has really quieted down. In fact, while we're live, I'm curious, DC crime over the weekend. I should have done this before, but hey, sometimes it happens. And everything that I'm seeing is several injured during Labor Day shootings in DC while police in Maryland investigate. Well, that's a video. I don't want to click that. Everything that I'm seeing here on the news sources, whether it be CNN, it says crime is falling. I don't see any. Here we go. Fox 5 figures it would be Fox. A man was shot and killed Sunday afternoon in D.C., marking the city's 7th homicide since the federal crime emergency began on 11th of August. So there have been 7 deaths over that entire time. I'll have to go back and see how many more, what the average was before this. I know that there were 11 days without a murder, which was uncanny. And what they're saying is the violence is starting to spike just as President Trump's federal crime emergency is set to expire. Thousands rallied in the streets. So it's looking like the police came in, the federal agencies came in and started suppressing the crime, and it's going to expire, and they're going to go away, and we'll see what happens. Which brings me to the city of Jackson, Mayor Horn, and Governor Tate Reeves. Maybe we could do something in a red state, in a blue city, where everybody can claim victory. That would be awesome. And if you remember, we've talked about it and it's been reported on, the DC mayor has thanked the president for working in DC to bring down the crime rates. There's all sorts of video evidence, albeit anecdotal, but there's lots of it out there that shows how well things are going. It does say that tourism is down. I don't believe that. I don't believe it at all. Or if tourism is down, it's because school has started again and summer trips are done at the DC. All the schools that come and visit DC, the capital, in the 7th or 8th grade. I could believe that. But by almost every measure, this crackdown on crime by this administration in the nation's capital has been a success. And let's see if we can't have that come to Mississippi. We'll talk about it in the next segment. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. And welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. It is The Uprising. Love that song. It's kind of motivating. It's funny because, you know, they were all talking about how we were going to stand up to the government back in the early 2000s, and we're strong, we're tough, we're going to fight against it. And now they turned into the biggest communists and socialists ever. So that's just the story of how music goes sometimes. It's all song and dance. It's never anything real. We were talking in the last hour about how the judges were making these decisions and how Trump continues to overcome them. And one of the things that happens at about this time during the program is there's news that is breaking. And I want to try to get ahead of the news so that way we can talk about it before the mainstream media starts talking about it, because this is coming from CNN. Job growth revised down by 911,000 people through March, signaling an economy on shakier footing than realized. And they're definitely talking about everything that's going on here. And then you have to go down 2 bullet points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs down to get to the pull quote. So why are these jobs down almost 1 million? And they tell you in the 5th paragraph. Most of the time span for the report came before President Donald Trump took office, indicating the jobs picture was deteriorating before he began levying tariffs against U.S. trading partners. But that is not what you will hear on the news tonight. Watch it. See what they say. It's incredible to me. Oh, I thought we had a caller there. Was going to go to it. Call back if you like. That'd be awesome. But if not, we're going to continue talking about this because this is breaking news. And I genuinely believe that we will see more things like this. And why is this important? Why is this? The clue here is if we would have continued to lower our interest rates, we would have an impact on this. But we didn't. And that's where it goes. Okay, caller's calling back. Let's see what happens. Hey, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, I was just going to hit. Have you heard where they saying now that the last 2 years of Biden's administration, those numbers were fudged, that he didn't create no jobs?
I have not seen that yet, but if you can either shoot me a text with that, brother, or point me in the right direction, I'll definitely go to that. It would not surprise me because there's a lot of stuff coming out about the last 2 years of the Biden administration. One thing that's on my list, I'm not sure if we're going to get to it today, but since you kind of brought up Biden, have you heard about the auto pen stuff?
Oh, yes. I've been hearing a lot of that stuff, too. They're trying to keep a lot of this stuff out of the main media and everything. It's hard to know what's real and not. But, you know, I get it from a couple sources. I'll see if I can find it. But I heard them talking about it, and they're saying that the last 2 years, there was no jobs created. All those numbers he was on, like the $1 billion was lies, was fudging.
Dude, that's incredible. Well, I got you on the air. I would like to ask you a question if that's all right.
That's all right. Go ahead.
What news sources do you like to use? Because I'm always trying to look to expand my news sources. You know, I go to Magnolia Tribune, all the local Mississippi places that I can, but I'm always looking for new sources. And I'm curious, where do you go to look for stuff?
Well, I had satellite TV, and I was Fox, and then I got on One American News Network, and then the other one, Newsmax.
Yep.
And I dropped that. And they dropped One American News work off. Well, I went to the internet, and I'm learning a lot. I have to watch stuff. I go to YouTube. But I like Newsmax and One American because a lot of those cats from Fox have went over there to those sources.
Yep.
They seem more reliable than, than the I used to love Fox. Fox has kind of gotten try to stay mainstream.
I would agree.
You know? Now I like the dude that's got the show that comes on at Gotfield. I like the 5 minutes. Like I said, since I'm on the internet, I have to watch it, and it's not live. You know what I'm saying? It's pre-recorded.
Yep.
But I go, like I said, One American News Work and Newsmax. I've been going to a couple of other outside sources. But that was me. I used to get up in the morning and watch MSNBC just to get the blood pumping to see how stupid these people are, knowing they're lying.
Well,
like you was talking about the girl up there that got killed, the Ukraine girl.
Yeah.
It get so long to get out.
It's incredible. And the thing is, MSNBC is changing to MS now, but it will always be BS always,
That's it. That's it. But I used to love to watch it just get the blood going in the morning. But I try to look at both sides and then, make my decision. But like I said, it's done got so biased now with all of them.
Mhm.
It's like with this hatred going towards Trump. I don't get it. If the man was to cure cancer, they'd be telling him to go get cancer or something. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just
You're absolutely right. President Donald Trump gets blamed for everything, and he knows it. But he's still out there every day. And I mean, he's 79 years old, and he's got more energy than most 30-year-olds. And
well, did you see the what's that girl? How dare you? The one that's doing, she's trying to send a little ship over, a little thing over to
Greta Thunberg.
Pakistan, but they were trying to say a drone hit it, and you can tell that it was a flare gun went off.
Oh my goodness, Greta Thunberg. I did see something
Yes.
about a drone strike. I did not realize it was a flare gun. I will go look
It's
for
a
that.
flare gun. It's a bunch of look, it's a bunch of stuff coming out on it now, and it's fun. And I'm waiting for them. Well, if Trump's fault, they sent a drone over there. So.
Oh my goodness. Let's be truthful. We've got plenty of recent footage via Venezuela of what a Reaper drone will do to a boat. And if the United States wants to blow up a boat, we're going to blow up a boat. But if this was a flare gun, that is just comical.
It looks like the video I saw looks like a flare gun to me because it goes up and it comes right back down. They must have been playing with it or something, fooling with it, not knowing what it was, and just to hear the audio of them, we've been attacked. The way they abandoned ship is hilarious.
Oh my
I
gosh.
needed a good laugh today. I'm still laughing about it. I heard it like 3 hours ago.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm already chuckling. The military retiree in me is truly going to enjoy this when I get there. Brother, I appreciate the phone call and the wisdom.
All right, man. Thanks. Great show. Hey, I'll try to get some stuff. Tag you on Facebook, see if I can get the tag. I just not been being able to get to see some of your stuff.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
I don't do X.
Well, brother, I'm just telling you. I haven't been streaming to Facebook the last couple days. I got some nasty grams, and I just can't do it. And I know that a lot of people don't like X, and there's a lot of craziness out there, but it truly is the freest free speech platform that we have in the world right now. So
right. I like the Rumble, but I do more of the Instagram.
There you go.
Instagram and Face is kind of tied, but I like Instagram a little bit better because you can get more stuff on there, then they're not as hard on to me. They hadn't been after me on it. I know Facebook, they stay after me.
Well, that's still Zuckerberg, brother. I'm just letting you know.
Right, I know.
All right, my man.
All right, man. I'll get you back to you. Have a blessing. Be safe.
Be blessed, my friend. But take care. It's always awesome when we've got callers calling in, talking about stuff. I'll tell you what, if Greta Thunberg really sank her own ship with a flare gun, I mean, you can just hear it in my voice. It's like, oh my goodness. And I know all my military bubbles are out there too going, what? I mean, that takes a special type of work. A flare gun. My goodness. But getting back to this, you can understand now why the Federal Reserve didn't want to cut interest rates, because clearly they had all this data in the background too. And the longer they could keep the interest rates high, the more it was going to have a negative effect on Trump as we got to the end of the year. And my thing is I sincerely believe Trump is quite aware of what the Fed was doing. I'm sure Trump is aware of this as well. Trump will continue to do Trump things. One thing, and this is kind of going off my beaten path of the court rulings, because there is one more court ruling. Trump administration asked Supreme Court to allow freeze on billions of foreign aid. This is trying to cut off a bunch of aid that a lower court judge says you have to pay out. And Trump is like, nope, no, I don't. And he's not gonna. And it's going to go to the court, and he's going to win that too. But this did come in, and it was a texter friend of mine who said, do you think President Trump is looking more tired than when he took office? And the answer to that is absolutely. If you look at every man and every person, whether that be Reagan, and I start with Reagan because that's who I truly remember. I can sort of see Carter there, but not really. But I remember Reagan, I remember Bush, I remember Clinton, I remember the second Bush, I remember President Obama, I remember Trump, I remember Biden, and I remember Trump again. And every president grew more and more tired the longer they were in office. Now, Trump had 4 years off. He rebounded great. But when I was looking at him last night, my wife and I were talking, and she just goes, I know Trump's all there. He sounds great, but he looks tired. And he is. And that's what happens to presidents who are actually doing the job. Now, you might not like the job they're doing, but if you are actually doing that job right, and it's not just president, you can see it with commanding officers in the military, you can see it with flight deck troubleshooters, you can see it with regular construction workers. The longer they do it, the more tired they get. It takes a little bit longer to recharge those batteries. Isn't that right, Sweet Bee? It takes a little while. But I am under no illusion, or I am not under the belief that President Trump is getting too tired. I do see a lot of these left-wing crazies saying that he needs to be removed. These people were not around when Biden was completely off the rocker and off the chain. And that's why the auto pen's going to get removed. I mean, I find it really hard to believe that they could actually remove Ketanji Brown Jackson, but there are people who believe that that's an auto pen appointment, and they're going after it. All those pardons, they're going after it. And there's real data there. And I'm just to the point to where I'm not sure I even want to go over that because that'll open up yet another Pandora's box that I don't want to deal with in the future. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Yep, you are back at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We are moving and grooving, chugging along. And during the break, I did pull up the Greta Thunberg flotilla drone strike footage. And what I'm going to say is that it is definitely not a drone, and it is not a military grade weapon of ever any kind, type, sort, nature, relationship. It is not, and I'm saying that just in my experience in the military. Seen a lot of bombs go off. Been present at some air shows where we were using real stuff and measuring effects and impressing dignitaries who maybe needed to be impressed when the whole Serbian conflict was going around. We actually flew out the president of Serbia. Admiral Katz was the battle group commander. And we put out these chairs and we allowed the president of Serbia to watch an air show, and we put a show on. And back then, we had this airplane called the A6. And we did 3 passes. One was 26 Mark 82s. One was 12 Mark 83s. And one was 2 Mark 84s loft bombed. And I can tell you, I know what an explosion looks like. And what this is, it honestly looks like a meteor kind of falling to the ground and snowflaking out. It could be a drone, but it is not a military grade drone. It's like a quadcopter that had some type of misfire. It's hilarious. I didn't get quite the chuckle that I was hoping I would get out of it, but it's definitely not military grade. As we continue. Also, what's going on right now? Operation Midway Blitz. Midway Blitz. Midway Airport's in Chicago, and I literally opened up my email to check the email, and I'm getting all these alerts from places that I thought I had disconnected from when I moved to Mississippi, but apparently I haven't. And the local leaders are talking tough, but it's not going to work. And I just pray for the ICE agents in the military, or not the military officers, but the federal officers who are down there, because what the political class is doing down there, what the mayor's doing, what the governor's doing, what these aldermen and local political officials are doing, is they are just whipping everybody up. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this operation unfolds. Something I wanted to talk about, I got to make sure I pull up the right one here. Trump is being blamed for high school students' math and reading scores dropping. Years-long decline. And they're calling it a sobering report. What's interesting to me is this quote from the Christian Science Monitor, and I will tweet this out as soon as I get done doing it. We cannot pay attention. Student scores hit new lows in nation's report card. Why can't your kid pay attention? Why can't so many of us pay attention? What happens when you lose your smartphone and you can't get on the internet when you want to get on, when you can't stream the show you want to watch, when you can't access the data you need to collect, our our brains are being reprogrammed. I wouldn't say rewired because I don't think there's any wires in your brain. You definitely have pathways, neural pathways, which could be considered wires. I don't know. I don't know if I know any neurology people, neuroscientists. Maybe I can ask about that. But it's not wired in the sense that I'm thinking about wiring an F-14 as an example. But you can program your brain. And yesterday I noticed it. I could tell, I was looking for, hey, how come I can't get this information? I want this information, and keep looking at my phone. And this sweet pea wasn't feeling that well, and all she wanted to do was listen to something and rest. Our daughter had a volleyball game, and she had to study, and we were out of power, so she had to go over to Splinter's house. But even there, she talks about it, how people are so addicted to their phones. And I think it's a great thing. Something that's happening all across America is that public schools are making rules that make sure that kids cannot have their cell phones on them, on their person while they're at school. What a great, great idea. Allowing these kids to actually focus on their studies, actually read books, not websites. We have to make that happen. A new batch of student test scores indicate a slump in college and career readiness, as well as a decline in science knowledge. Both of those could have been profound implications on the country's economic future. You don't say. Go ahead, you're on the air.
My man Andrew, I'm calling with another Lee Corso moment.
Oh.
Not so fast, my friend.
Not so fast, my friend.
They do have policy against cell phones, but they're not being enforced.
Ooh,
you know why?
Why?
Because the parents have a stroke because they cannot text continuously, nonstop, all day with their students. And guess what the district's not going to do? They are not going to tell mama you can't text your little girl in the middle of math class. Not going to do it. There's a policy, but it's just like laws. If we don't enforce them, they're just a piece of paper.
My goodness.
Not so fast, my friend. And we're talking about Rankin County, my brother. The district will not back them up.
I've got some friends who have kids at Rankin, and now we are going to conduct a science experiment. And we will find out. I will work on this tomorrow evening when I am at church, because people don't know that I live in Hinds County, but I attend church in Rankin County, and I have many friends who have kids all over the Rankin school system. And perhaps we need to do a test, my friend, and then we can come back on and have a follow-up segment with the great Lee Corso.
That's right. Not so fast, my friend.
Not so.
FYI. Have a good day.
Thank you so much for the input, man. I love this listening audience. You all are amazing, and you make the show go. And it's, like I said, I've got a lot of people who have kids at different high schools and elementary schools and middle schools around the county. And it will be interesting to see if those policies are being enforced or not. I would go to the school board district meeting there, but it's at 7:30 in the morning on a Wednesday. And I'm sure the parents can all make that appointment. I genuinely am trying to make it through a month of being on the radio and not complaining about Rankin County school system, but it's never going to happen. Too many of y'all out there who are paying too close of attention to what's going on out there and are genuinely upset. Average reading and math scores among 12th graders fell to their lowest levels on record in 2024. Well, no kidding. We don't read books anymore. We read Instagram and TikTok. And the fact is that these kids who are grown up now, they're not reading books. They're reading their iPads. Those good habits that we got when we were kids back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, they're all gone. Not only is it easier to turn on the iPad, but it looks cooler. It's got better graphics. It has sound. It has visuals. It's not like a book where we had to use a book to create our imaginations. It's just a different world. And we're starting to see the effects of it now. Where this leads, I do not know. But once again, Trump is responsible for it. You can't make this stuff up. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We are going to take our final break. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah, I will not let you down. This is the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Where does the time go? I come in and I'm like, man, I want to get through X, Y, and Z. I want to make sure I talk about all these different things. And it just goes by so quick. But it's okay because we will be back again tomorrow to continue to talk about this. I did get some feedback in on the drone strike on the Greta Thunberg flotilla. A really good friend of mine who has got many hours behind a combat aircraft, who understands what it means to push the pickle button, and she has told me that she is not aware of any weapon that acts like that. So I am quite confident between my air battle management experience and my time at sea in the United States Navy, along with my good friend who been friends for a long time. She's an incredible pilot. So the Greta Thunberg thing, it's definitely a hoax. She just must not be getting the kind of traction she thought she wanted to create. I've gone ahead and reposted everything that I used on the show today, all my show notes. Please, if you haven't already, would you please give me a follow at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser on X. And if you like what the show's doing, let some people know. Definitely would appreciate it. Last scan. Israel admits attacking Hamas in Qatar. Just crazy. You think about what President Trump has done. He's gone to Saudi Arabia. He's gone to Qatar. He signed all these deals. And now they're going after Hamas in Qatar. Things are changing. I don't know what President Trump has done, but I just got this text from an unknown texter, but I agree. And it's got a picture of Donald J. Trump with a magic hat and a magic wand saying, and now for my next trick. Watch Democrats start supporting drug cartels. Yes. So true. Ladies and gentlemen, it's one thing to be in the opposition. And I know because Republicans, especially in Illinois, were in the opposition. But when you are you're not even in the opposition, you are just anti, you're not getting to where you need to be. Look, before we blast off today, man, the time just blasts by so quick. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has tuned into the show today. And look, continue to encourage one another and build each other up, just like you already are doing. Until next time, stay tuned, everybody. Be blessed.